Hi, everybody. We are back again. I'm back too, but I promise you, I'm not going to talk y'all to death this time. I am done with my presentation and I'm thankful. I am here with this beautiful lady here. This is Dr. Nikki. And Dr. Nikki is a master trichologist. And what does that mean? That means that Dr. Nikki can help you take care of your hair issues in women and in men. And I don't know about you all. I know this may be a touchy subject because a woman's hair is her crown and glory. And when we start having issues with our hair, we tend to retreat into ourselves or we don't like to share it. And Dr. Nikki is here tonight to help us with that. Dr. Nikki, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Take it away, my dear.
Well, thank you, Miss Rose. Hello, everyone. Let's see here. Am I? Give me one. Uh-oh. No, I didn't mean to go there. I'm trying to. Okay. Give me 1 second here. All right. Well, hello. I hope you all are enjoying this summit as much as I am enjoying it. I mean, we have had some power presentations, and just the panel of speakers have just been phenomenal, just phenomenal. So I'm excited, and so I'm here tonight to share with you about hair loss and the things that many people don't know, or things that clients come to me in regards to hair loss. So who am I, first of all? My name, again, is Dr. Nikki Lee. I'm a doctor of trichology. I'm not a medical doctor, so many people get that mixed up. They call me and they want me to do all these medical treatments. So I am not a medical doctor. Just look at me as more of like a naturopathic doctor. And I've been in the industry now for about 30 years. I started out first in the cosmetology industry and then got into hair loss because I too am a sufferer of hair loss. I know I have some hair on my head now, but it's not as thick as it used to be. And when my autoimmune system is under attack, which I'll talk about a little bit in a later slide, my hair will fall out. So I know when I share information with people, I don't share just from book knowledge. I'm sharing information with them from experience knowledge. I'm also the proud owner of Seattle Trichology, LLC, and Innovative Hair Designs here in Seattle, Washington. And I absolutely love what I do. And I have a special treat for those of you who are participating in the summit. I've never done this before, but I am offering, and you'll see the link. I believe you see the link on the screen, but I am offering a 30-minute consultation that has a $300 value, but I am offering it for free for those of you after this presentation or after the summit who would like to schedule a call if you have questions about your hair loss. And if you're looking for solutions, I have the answer. I promise you, I do. So, why should you schedule a call with me? What makes me different than, let's say, your cosmetologist or even your dermatologist? For one, I want to let you know the difference between cosmetology and trichology. So a cosmetologist basically focus on hairstyling, cut, color, things of that nature. A trichologist focus more on the scientific side of why you're losing your hair. So a hairstylist or a cosmetologist may not quite know what to look for when a client comes into their salon, and if they're having hair loss or any type of itching on the scalp or scaly scalp condition. Any cosmetologist will refer you to either a dermatologist, or they just don't know what to do, and so they'll concoct some not concoct, but they'll use other products that may not quite address the issue, and I'll basically tell you why. Okay. Another thing, dermatologists, their main focus point have been on skin. on your body. However, they've been forced to address more issues with the scalp because there's such an increase of scalp conditions as well as hair loss. But dermatologists, they don't quite have the time, enough time to spend with each client to really get down to that root, to what's causing the hair loss. And that's where I come in. I have an extensive knowledge and training on hair and scalp disorders. And again, it's totally different than dermatology, and it's different than cosmetology. It's totally separate. So for one, why you should schedule a call with me is, for one, I will help you understand the root cause or causes, because many times there's more than one cause that's that where these other issues are stemming from. So like a root cause, because you could have multiple symptoms, but it may be stemming from that one underlying root cause of your hair loss or hair shaft condition. Next is, I take a more of a holistic approach, meaning I focus on the whole body. Okay, I don't just focus when you come in and you have, let's say, bald spots, or you have your hair is shedding, or your texture of your hair is different than normal. I don't just use a product to address that. I dig deeper, because your hair lets you know. Now, let me repeat this. Your hair will let you know that something is off balanced or that you are sick before you start feeling the symptoms. Did you hear me? Your hair will let you know that there is something off kilter or off balance, or that you are sick before you start feeling the symptoms. Okay? That is so important to know, because many times we may feel a texture change in our hair. We may see a little bit more hair in the brush or comb, or we may notice that it thinned out a little bit. There's little subtle changes, and we don't think nothing of it. We may feel a little bump and say, oh, this must be a hair bump, not realizing it could be something totally different, something that we didn't even think of. Okay. And so that's what I do. I really dig deep, and I run different tests to figure out what exactly is going on. And then I develop and recommend different therapies, use different therapies from there. And I offer different packages depending on what's going on with that client. And I customize certain packages, because many times, well, not many times, there is no one product that will work for everybody. If anybody tells you that, that's not true. And there is no miracle product. There is just not. There's no product that's going to grow your hair in a week or two. It's just not, especially when you have underlying conditions going on. Also, after consulting with me, you'll understand how to prevent or reduce reoccurrences. Now, there's certain conditions that's genetics. Now, we cannot change our DNA. We just can't. We can't change genetics. And once that genetic code is activated, you can't deactivate it. So once that, let's say you have a hair loss gene, or let's take lupus, for example. Lupus could stay dormant in your system, but if you go through a trauma or something that will activate that gene, then you have lupus. And the only thing you can do is take medication, and to not only take medication, but there's other things you can do naturally as well to keep it under control. And usually the medication is when it's severe, but because lupus is an autoimmune condition, alopecia areata is an autoimmune condition, and there's some other autoimmune conditions that I will discuss in the later slide, that you just can't stop it, but there's things you can do to reduce the reoccurrences of it. Okay, and that's so important, to take those measures just to prevent it from happening in the first place, or to reduce it. So It's really deep what I do. And a lot of people, when they consult with me, they say they're just blown away. They said, wow, we had no clue. And I tell them, this is what I do and I enjoy it. I also provide consultations and coaching virtually. So now that we're in COVID, what I'm finding is that many people are still uncomfortable coming into the clinic. I had a lady come in about a month ago, and she said, "Oh, I've been here too long. She was in there for 15 minutes, but because she wasn't vaccinated, she just didn't feel comfortable." So now I do offer consultations and coaching virtually, so I'm able to consult with people worldwide. So if you're watching this summit and let's say you live I'm in Seattle, so let's say you live in Tennessee or Texas or just in a whole nother state, you can now schedule a call and schedule a consultation and make that appointment with me. And I can help you in so many other ways, because many times I do end up coaching you. When I know when I was losing my hair, and many people go through this, it affects your self-esteem. People get anxiety, your stress level goes up. And sometimes you just need someone to talk to listen to you, and to coach you on the things that you can do to reduce your stress, to reduce your anxiety, and to help with your depression, because not all the time you need to get on medication. Sometimes it's your adrenal glands, and your adrenal glands is your endocrine gland that helps you deal with stress. So sometimes you're just in adrenal stress fatigue mode and need to take supplements, natural supplements, to get those adrenals working again. And so that's where coaching comes in. And I also offer ongoing support and education. If you have questions, you can always email me and stay in contact with me. So I'm always available for you, or my team is always available as well if you have any questions. Because usually, if your hair loss is genetic, it will reoccur, unfortunately. And I'm not going to lie to you. What I do is help you figure that out and figure out how to keep it under control. But if something happens, because life happens, there's certain things we cannot control, and it flares up, it will come out again, but you'll be better equipped on how to deal with it than you were prior to consulting with me. Okay, so what are some of the conditions that I see? Well, for one, some hair loss conditions are self-induced, and some of them are listed. I listed a couple here, which are the tight braids, the tight weaves, extensions, as well as improper application of chemicals. And this is a really big one, because so many people do their own chemicals, their own relaxers and perms and color at home, but you're really doing your hair and scalp a disservice because you don't know the chemistry behind it. It's the chemistry, it's theory behind that. This is why doctors and cosmetologists and other professionals, they have to go to school. They have to get certification, because there's chemistry behind it. There's theory behind it. And so I do not recommend applying chemicals at home. And then, of course, you have to know when to stop wearing the tight hairstyles. You have to know when to stop wearing the extensions. And I know we're in this era where it's low maintenance, and it just gives you this look that you've always wanted. You can change your hairstyle, you can change your hair color, but unfortunately I am seeing hair loss at an alarming rate, and a lot of times it's self-induced, and many a times it's irreversible. So what are some of the underlying causes that I was talking about? Now, it's a list of them, and I'm just naming a few because there's over 100 different causes of hair loss. Yes, 100 different causes of hair loss, and many times people don't even realize. So I'm going to start. I already touched on heredity, and that's genetics. Okay, so like your female pattern hair loss, your androgenetic hair loss, that is heredity. Emotional stress, We were talking about this before I came on, just stress in general. And so many people, especially during COVID, is so stressed out to the point where I'm seeing different cases that I'm seeing different forms of hair loss and scalp conditions on one head at the same time that I normally wouldn't see. And it's because the people's system is in stress overload, and there is actual medical term or condition called stress overload. And when you're in stress overload, your hair stops growing. It stops growing. However, it will continue when the receptors, your hair receptors, are given that signal. Okay, because I'll get into how our body is designed in a little later slide. But when our hair is given that signal to grow back, then the hair will grow back. That's just like with the chemotherapy drug. The hair will fall out while you're on the chemotherapy drug, and then it'll begin to grow back as soon as you stop taking the drug. And that's because the drug kills all your good and your bad cells, and it affects your hair follicles. You have, let's see, another one, illness. Now, our bodies, we're well designed. We were designed in such a way that our bodies were literally designed to heal itself. Okay, but during that process of healing, okay, as our body tried to focus on healing and protecting the vital organs that's needed for survival, it will attack other tissues in the body, and your hair follicles are one of them. So that's one of the reasons why you tend to lose hair when you have a high fever, when you have the flu, when you've been when your immune system is under attack, because your body is trying to heal itself, and so is thinking the follicles are invaders. Medication, we talked about medication. There's so many medications out here that induce hair loss. And so where I come in is I need to know what you're on. I'll find out what you're on, and usually I'll know which one medications induce hair loss. And usually if I don't, I'll look it up. But then I'll come up with the plan so that we can combat it or kind of keep it under control to where you will still have hair on your head, especially if it's a medication that you have to be on for a long period of time, because chemotherapy is usually short term. But when you're on long-term medication, that could really affect your self-esteem. Nutritional deficiencies. Now, people don't realize that. I know you hear people say, buy organic, eat grass-fed meat with grass-fed meat that's not pumped up with any growth hormones. Well, it's important, because I know people would say it all the time, because I used to say it. Organic is expensive. But what I tell people, and this is what I'm telling you, you're either going to pay now or you're going to pay later. Okay, you're going to pay now or you're going to pay later. So next time you go to the grocery store, you think about that when you second guess buying organic or buying conventional, because conventional fruits and vegetables are sprayed with all the pesticides and insecticides. Our systems were not designed to process that, and it's making us sick. And there's one pesticide, I'm not going to mention its name, but it kills everything except for what is being sprayed on. Did you hear me? It kills everything except for what it is sprayed on, which means that once we eat whatever it was sprayed on, whatever fruit or vegetable, it is affecting our system, and it's making us sick. And so many people don't think about that, okay? Then another thing is, when your system is not processing nutrients properly, okay? For example, protein. People think that, oh, I'm eating all this protein and my hair is still falling out, my skin is still going through this. Why? Well, your body doesn't utilize the protein. What your body has to do, it has to break down that protein into amino acids, which are smaller molecules, so that it can be distributed through the bloodstream to all your other organs and tissues. So if that's not working properly, and your hair, people don't know this, your hair follicles are the last to get nutrients. Whatever you put in your body, your hair gets it last, your hair follicles gets it last. So if your body is not, if it's nutrient deficient, you're going to have hair loss, you're going to have hair shaft disorders, and you're going to have different scalp conditions. So that's a big one. This is a really big one. I see people come in, and this is like one of the main things that I see, that a lot of people are nutrition deficient, and their digestive system is not working properly. So all of this, people don't realize it really affects your hair. It affects your whole body. But now you can see that when you come in for hair loss, there's more to it than just using a shampoo or a conditioner or even a growth serum or a tonic on your scalp. It's deeper than that. And so that's where I come in. And again, you have your environmental stressors. Just recently, a couple years ago, I was exposed to black mold, and it was making me sick because, again, those are toxins. Okay, so many people don't realize that they have a lot of toxins around their house, all in their cleaning agents that they've been using for years, and they don't realize why they stay sick all the time or why they're on so much medication. But if they were to get rid of some of those chemicals around their house, they would start to feel much better. And then, of course, we have all types of toxins and environmental stressors, just, walking outside. There's so many different chemicals that we inhale. So it's important that we make sure that our body is balanced. And then you have your thyroid dysfunction. This is another one. And I'll get into a little bit about this in a later slide. So people don't realize that your thyroid, it's responsible for your metabolism. Okay, and your endocrine system is a system of hormones, because our body, our cells communicate through hormones, through chemical messengers, and that's what hormones are. And so when your thyroid is not functioning, especially when it's underactive, your hair is going to affect your hair, is going to affect your skin. And so these are things that I dig deep. These are all root causes of hair loss that a lot of people don't even think about. And like I said, when you go to your hairstylist, they're not trained to look at these things or to dig deep to find out, and they don't have the proper testing to do them. As well as with dermatologists, they'll run certain tests, but at the same time, most of the time you go to a dermatologist, some of them may not touch you. They will look at you and give you a prescription. I've been there, done that. Okay. And so they're not going to take the time to really consult with you to find out, because we have to look at your lifestyle, your family history, what you've been going through the past six months or 6 weeks. That plays a big difference, even a year. All that plays a role, because another thing, what people don't realize is that, or that I would like to share with you, is that your hair will respond to a tragedy or a stressor months after. It could be actually, I'm going to put this out there, because many people have experienced this with other vaccinations. Sometimes your system, let's say if you got the what shot is that? The tetanus shot. Okay, people don't realize that your hair responds to the tetanus shot like weeks after you received it. And one of the contributing, or one of the side effects of getting a tetanus shot is hair loss. People don't realize that. So again, I will coach you, and I coach clients as well as consult with you. So then that way, when things like this happen, you'll know how to handle it, and you won't stress out to the point where your hair comes out more or you get sicker. So what I was saying before, we're a perfectly designed organism, and a basic understanding of the human body gives me insight of what cause mental, chemical, physical, hormonal changes that induce hair loss. So that's very important. And this is what I do all day, every day. And it's amazing, because our systems, when you really learn and understand how the body works, you realize that many times we don't need to be on the medications that we're put on. So my goal is to help people get healthy from the inside out as well. So then that way the hair loss issues will not be a problem, and their scalp conditions as well will no longer be a problem. And again, I've my own test subject. So here is, I just wanted to share with you or emphasize how the human body, how the organ systems work. So this is us here, and these are all of our different systems, and each system works together. So this is like our digestive system. So you can see that when your digestive system is not working right, most likely your endocrine system is not working right, your circulatory, I mean, it just go on and on and on. And then of course, when one system is not working, that means the other system is balanced. So my whole thing is I try to do my best, my due diligence to get your internal environment as close to balanced. I'm not perfect, so nobody's perfect, and there's no perfect medication out there or supplement that will be able to get your system to a perfect balance. I think maybe because even babies, are born with different conditions, but I can get it close enough to where you're no longer having hair loss or scaly scalp conditions, along with using topicals, because you have to combat hair loss internally and externally, but it starts from within. So your immune system, this is what I was talking about as far as immunity and autoimmunity. So your immune system is the ability of an organism to resist infections or toxins. And so when your system is sick, because your lymphocytes, like, I don't know if you went to the doctor and you notice, they would tell you, oh, your red blood cells, your red blood count is high. And that's because your body is trying to fight off an infection, okay? And so when those lymphocytes are not working properly, especially in alopecia, and I just put alopecia areata, but in hair, so alopecia is the medical term for hair loss. So with hair loss or alopecia, when those cells start to overproduce, that's when you have a problem. Just like with cancer cells, they start to overproduce, and and then they turn into cancer. So with the overproduction of T cells, which is a white blood cell, that's what eventually causes alopecia, or autoimmune condition. Because with autoimmunity, it means that with auto meaning self, so your body can no longer determine what's self and what's not self. So what happens is your follicles, again, they start to attack your hair follicles, and they'll infiltrate it, and also you'll get inflammation. And we all know that inflammation is not good. A little inflammation is okay, but inflammation for a long period of time can cause all kinds of conditions, diabetes, you name it, definitely hair loss, skin conditions. And so again, this is where I come in, because I dig deep and find out. When you come in, I don't just say, okay, well, you have this hair loss, let's use a topical, let's do this. No, I find out, I dig deep, I run tests, and if I find out what's going on with your internal environment, because that's the best way that I can help you, is finding out what's going on in your internal environment, what's in balance, what nutritional deficiencies do you have, how is your endocrine system working, how is your digestive system working. I can find out all those things, and it's important. And so people don't realize that it's more to it. Hair loss is more than what people see to the naked eye. And many times when people see their pictures of their scalp, like I do a microscopic scalp analysis, I've had people cry, because again, I'm looking at it through a different lens that's magnified. And so I'm able to see what the naked eye can't see, and what most when you go to the cosmetologist or you go to the dermatologist, they don't have, well, the dermatologist might have equipment to look at. If you go to a dermatologist or find one who specializes in hair loss and have the equipment, but most of the time they don't have the time. So they're not going to do that. They'll just write you a prescription and send you on your way. So another condition that's very popular that you may have, or that you may know someone, or if you're a professional cosmetologist and you're watching this broadcast, scalp psoriasis. And psoriasis is, it can be on your body. And as you can see right here, this person has psoriasis of the nails. And so this is another inflammatory autoimmune skin condition, and it's hereditary. And so this also causes hair loss. But if you went to a cosmetologist, most likely they wouldn't know too much of how to treat this. If you went to a dermatologist, they would give you and there's some medications that really help. But again, this will come back. But I offer holistic or natural solutions to addressing this issue. So it's non-invasive, and you don't have the side effects that you normally would have, with the medications. And again, this person definitely needs to combat this internally as well as externally. And one thing about scalp psoriasis, as you can see, it affects so many people, 7.5, and actually those numbers have gone up most likely, but you can see how many people it affects, and it's mainly in the African American and Caucasian. You see them mainly in African Americans and Caucasians. And so I pretty much do a lot. I do a lot, and I'm here to help you. This is another picture of we call it a female hair loss scale. And it doesn't have the numbers on here, but it just goes through the processes of hair loss. And so it's important that when you see your hair, when your part starts to get bigger or wider, this is when you need to see a specialist such as myself. Many people come to me by the time they're here because they've gone to dermatologists and some other professionals, and some people just don't know, and they're wearing their cover-ups, and by the time they realize it, they're like, well, I need to go see a specialist. So this is where I help you to where when your hair do grow back, that you won't get to this stage again. And it's very important. And I wish so many people would take heed to this. So if you're watching this, if you're part of this summit, please, schedule a call if you have hair loss, and stop suffering in silence, because you don't have to. There is help. And like I said, I can consult with you no matter where you are. So if you can't come in, if you don't live in Seattle, that's not a problem. So these are some other hair loss conditions and scalp conditions that I can address. And as you can see, this one right here is a condition called frontal fibrosing alopecia, which is autoimmune. It's a genetic as well, and it starts in the front and it proceeds back. And as you can see, there's no follicles there. But again, had this person sought out a professional before it got to this point, we would have been able to help her and get her on the right therapies to address her conditions. And again, alopecia areata, female pattern thinness, is some traction, some thinning right here. And so I address all of these issues. So that ends my presentation. Again, like I said, if you are experiencing hair loss, please go to bit.ly/no more hair loss 21 and schedule that free call with me. And I do want to say that please pick a date that you're going to be available, because when I call, unfortunately, I will not be able to call back or leave a message. So I would need for you to be available when I call you. But yeah, if you have any questions, we can go over your family history, possibly action plan. And you can also, if you would like to start on one of my packages, I can explain one of those to you. And if you are a professional, if you're a cosmetologist or a hair loss professional, and you would like assistance on how you can better serve your clients in your clinic or in your salons, you can also schedule a call as well. Or if you even want to learn how you can scale your business online as well, I can help with that. But schedule a call, bit.ly/no more hair loss 21. And again, I thank Dr. Danielle Winningham for allowing me to use her platform to share with you all what I do. And thank you. And there's, I believe, I think 2 or 3 more power presentations after me. So I am not going to hold you much longer. Thank you and good night.
Dr. Nikki.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
But I do have a question. Well, let's check the questions in the chat first. I don't get to go first.
We have many in the chat. So there's Rose. What are you eating, Rose?
Popcorn.
Okay,
I
scarring.
went downstairs to cook and noticed the time.
Scarring alopecia. Can you help with that? I was told there's no cure for it. That's from Alicia.
Right. So scarring alopecia, that on the last slide I showed you, when I talked about the lady who had no follicles. Okay. So scarring, hair needs a follicle to grow through. And a follicle is like a little sac. So if it doesn't have that sac, it can't grow through. So unfortunately, there is no cure for it. There's no way to grow back hair. However, I do have a colleague who is challenging that. She's working on a case study with someone with frontal fibrosing alopecia. And so there may be in the future, but we are testing different therapies. But as of right now, there's no way of growing hair through scar tissue, basically.
Okay. And is androgenic alopecia reversible? Is there a treatment to help hair to grow back? Androgenic, is that
androgenetic?
Okay.
Androgenetic, yes. Yeah, so androgenetic is the genetic form of hair loss, which I was telling you that you can get it. I have androgenetic hair loss. So there has been times where I didn't have any hair at the top for a while, and that was because I was exposed to environmental toxins. And I probably was inhaling, or not inhaling, but eating toxins. Like I said, I was eating conventional foods for a long time, and fruits and vegetables, and I didn't know at the time that I was actually allergic to pesticides and insecticides. So again, my immune system was under attack for a while. So when I removed all of those toxins and controlled my stress and just changed some things and added supplementation to my system, my hair started taking supplements, my hair started to grow back. But androgenetic is one of those types of hair loss that it can only be under control. It can't be stopped, but it can be kept under control. The process could be slowed down, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
If caught on time.
Okay, thank you. And Makisha says, if you obtain a chemical burn, can the follicle be restored, or once it's dead, it's dead? How do you conduct tests for those outside your state?
Okay, so for chemical burns, again, it only takes one time to cause permanent damage. There are some people that have had chemical burns and their hair grew back, and then there's many times it's the scarring, it just shut the follicles down. And so what I do for people out of state, you have to pay for the test up front, and then I send the test and walk you through that process, and you send it back to me, and I send it into a lab. Send it to the lab.
Awesome.
And I don't know if you remember the rainbow on that first slide. I did that on purpose because that rainbow signifies something. And in order for you to find out what that rainbow symbolizes, you have to schedule a call with me.
Right. I like that.
All right. And then Bernie James said, can you help with thin hair in the middle? Do you have tips for people that have alopecia? Book a call.
Yes, that's a little bit more complex, and yeah, so because I can't just something like that, I can't just give you an answer right now, but I would have to get a little bit more information from that person.
Dr. Nikki, this
And
is
the
a
call
good.
is free. The call is free. So definitely schedule a call because I'll go over a lot. And like I said, this call normally costs, the consultation is normally $300. So for free, schedule that call.
You know what, Dr. Nikki, just looking at these questions, like hair loss is a very common thing. It's
Yes.
very common.
Yes.
And a lot of women do cover up and live in silence.
Yes, I did.
So,
I'm trying to hold
mhm.
back my tears right now because it's very emotional. I think it was Latalia when she was going through her hair loss. It's very emotional. It affects your self-esteem, and of course, like Rose said, our hair is our crown and glory. But when you don't have hair at the top, like I keep my hair long at the top now because I didn't have hair up there for so long. And when you don't have hair up there, but you have hair everywhere else, you can't do nothing with it. You can't. And when people look at you for some reason, that's what they look at, and don't let them be taller than you. So I totally understand. Yeah.
We have two more questions. That's it. What's your thoughts about Rogaine?
Rogaine. Well, Rogaine has been proven to grow hair. Now, what people don't understand about Rogaine is when you first take it, your hair will fall out. And that's not that the Rogaine is causing the fallout. It's just those weak follicles that were going to fall out anyway. They just fall out. Now, with Rogaine, your hair will grow. However, there are some side effects. And so what I do is I wean people off of Rogaine who are taking Rogaine. And no, I just have to put this out there for everyone since that question came up. Rogaine for men is not to be used on women. If you go to a dermatologist and they tell you to get Rogaine for men, don't do it. Don't do it.
And I
Rogaine,
think,
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, because it says for men, it has a higher percentage of the active ingredient, which will have adverse effects on women. And then even the Rogaine for women, the 5%, if you use it too long, you will start growing hair further down your hairline. I've seen it.
Yeah, I've used it before.
Yeah.
My forehead is so small. I had hair all down here.
Yeah.
And then I think you answered Bernie James. She said, how do you run tests when they're not local? And I think you said you'll send it to them.
Yes,
And
have them, schedule a call and then I'll go over all that with them. Yes.
Okay, and so I'm going to make sure that I put her information in the chat. It has been a pleasure chatting with you, Dr. Nikki. Great info.
Thank you.
So I guess I should not.
Did you see Dr. Cynthia's question
Oh no, where?
in the question and answer?
Oh, Q&A. Okay, let me get that. Dr. Nikki, how important are hair regimens?
Very important. Very important. Please, today, stop the co-washing. And that's a whole nother live stream. Your hair needs to be shampooed. And that's a live stream that because I have to break that down as to why, but please stop the co-washing. You're doing your hair a disservice. Also, stop using the swabs and the Pantenes. The cheaper the product, most likely the cheaper the ingredients, and that's why they can sell it for dirt cheap, which means the pH of that product is higher. The higher the pH, the more porous your hair will be. And it's not, and the more porous your hair is, the unhealthy it is. And you need to stop shampooing every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, once a month. You should cleanse your scalp once a week, especially if you have hair loss and if you have scalp conditions, because The healthier and the more unclogged you keep those follicles, the healthier your hair will be and the quicker your hair will grow. Many people have stunted growth because they don't cleanse their scalp enough.
So I have to do every week.
It's recommended. You could do what you want, but that's the whole, that's the whole reason. And the products that you use is very important, especially if you have scalp conditions and hair loss.
And Miss Rose asked, what's your recommendation for wash and what would you recommend you wash and condition with? What products do you recommend?
Well, it all depends on what's going on. Can I say this real quick? Because it's just in me to say this. Okay, I'm going way back. So correction. We wash clothes, but we shampoo hair. I just had to say that.
Absolutely.
So
That's in a cosmetology school right there.
so anyway, so it depends on what's going on with the hair. So for example, if you have hair loss, you should use a shampoo that is going to address the follicles, that's going to nourish the follicles. When you have scaly scalp condition, you need to use a shampoo and conditioner that's going to help treat that scaly scalp, that's going to help soften that scalp and soften up those scales and take them off, loosen them up. Many times if people have scaly scalp condition, they'll use, let's say, a moisturizing shampoo or a shampoo for color treated hair, but that's not treating that scaly scalp. So it really depends on what's going on. And there's different shampoos and conditioners for a reason. And then sometimes you may need to use a scalp serum to address the follicles. And again, the mixture, the blend would depend on what's going on with your scalp. Same thing with the hair.
Yeah, the hair is a funny thing. I remember when I first went natural, my hair was dry. I tried everything. And I finally found a product that actually worked with my hair. And I could see my true hair texture.
Yes.
I thought, what happened to my nice hair texture? But it was the products I was using. So,
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Nikki, I don't see any other questions either place.
Okay. Did I answer Rose's question? And that would be a call depending on what's going on with her hair, as far as what I would actually recommend for her.
You did. I probably need to schedule a call because I do have thinning, right up in here where most of us do.
Yep, and that's where mine.
And my texture. Now I've noticed too, my texture from one side to the other is different. It's changing.
Yeah.
As I get older.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hormonal changes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we only have one more speaker.
Oh, okay.
So, you want to do you want to do the prizes live or?
I'm still putting the names on the wheel.
Well, we'll go with Monique and we'll do it at the end.
Okay.
Gotta be here to win. Gotta be here to win.
Yeah, I gotta stay to the end.
All right. So live, we'll be back in 2 and 2.
Somebody has their hand up.
Who's that? Oh, I think Miss Diane, I seen her comment. She said, I lived with alopecia for years, starting at age 11. I could write a book. It was a living hell. When I turned 40, I cut off all my hair. Yeah.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with alopecia areata at 5. So,
oh, wow.
And I'll be 50 this year, so I totally understand. Yeah. She's a part of the group, or is she just a member? Okay. We'll have to talk then.
Yeah, I suffered with hair loss as well. And it's one of the reasons why I became a hairstylist, because of the passion of solving my own issue and still living with it and still looking beautiful at the same time.
Right.
Did y'all know I used to be a cosmetologist too?
What?
I did not know.
I used to work for JCPenney.
Okay.
And had my own shop too. That was when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And she ride on yachts.
She just freaking.
I do that.
She just you. She's a superwoman. She's a true
No,
superwoman.
I just try things that I like. And when I was younger, you know, in my 20s, I had a young child, and I just swore I would never go hungry. I'd always be able to feed
Right.
my family.
Right.
And,
Right.
you know, people always want their hair done. They always want to look pretty.
That's true. That's
And it runs in my family. So, y'all know too much about me.
All of us, Rose, all of us.
It's going to be
All of
blowing
us.
up now.
All right. Well, we'll be back Facebook Live in 2 and 2. We have one more speaker gracing us on the stage. And let me tell you, this firecracker is just going to take us home. Okay.
Oh, yeah, she gonna wake us up.
Oh, yes.
She's going to wake you up real quick. So see